What's up? You know what time it is. It's time for the best 120 minutes of your day. The Chop Shop, the nation's number one urban sports talk show, and also your midday sports happy hour. Yours truly, Robert Hatter, alongside Jim Hicks, coming to you live from Houston, Texas, but we're broadcasting all over the world via Facebook Live and YouTube Live. And it's Tuesday, great day, the day after Martin Luther King's Day. And Jimmy is in here on time today. And it's great. We're going to have a great afternoon for y'all, man. We got special guests lined up. Let me see, Jimmy. I think I got you. Yeah, I got you. Yes, and we still have the Martin Luther King Memorial right behind us. And because I thought about something, I said, man, I'm not going to wait 364 more days to celebrate him. Why can't we celebrate him every day? And let me show you something. Let me start the show out by recognizing our starting five. Our starting five are the people we affectionately call the people who sign on to the feed first. And let me give those names. Rod Wells, Thaddeus Moody, Alex Costero, Mindy Collins, and Sonia Billingsley. And the sixth person of the day is Rick Brown. What's up, Rick? And Jimmy, Jimmy, I had a lot of reflecting to do last night, just thinking about, Martin Luther King. Then I got a text. We had a sound check. We got a special guest coming up soon. But you know what I thought about, man? I thought to myself, and I was talking to myself. I said, look, I'm going to be a student this MLK Day. I want to be a student of Martin Luther King. I want to read more and find out more than just what the American capitalist system has put out on Dr. King, and how to celebrate him. So I looked through some stuff, y'all, and I don't know if y'all knew this. He skipped grades. I think he went from the 9th to the 11th. He skipped a couple of grades. And I remember Benjamin Mays, who was I think the president of Morehouse at the time. He lowered the admission age during the wartime at Morehouse because he was trying to keep them boys from getting drafted. He was trying to keep the young guys from getting drafted. I did not know this, and I looked a little. And Martin Luther King, I think he went into Morehouse early, around 16 or something like that. He got in. I didn't realize his grades wasn't that good. He didn't have good grades. He had to take a test to get into Morehouse. And I didn't know until later. Some of y'all know everything, but I didn't know that he wasn't born Martin Luther King. He was born Michael King. Michael King. And his daddy, in his travels around the world, he fell in love with Martin Luther. And that's when he came back and changed their names. But his name wasn't legal, Martin Luther King, until he was 28 years old. And at the time of his death, I didn't realize, y'all, at the time of his death, Jimmy, and I know people have been talking about it later, only 33% of the Americans had a positive view of him. They love him and talking about him right now, Jimmy, and that's something to think about. But I got some books. I just got a couple of books I just want to share with y'all that I picked up. If you want to get a book about him, a king, get the books that he wrote. I'm going to repeat. Get the books that he authored. A lot of people wrote about him, but get the books he like. His first book he did, coming out of the Montgomery boycotts, is called Strives Toward Freedom. The Montgomery story, he dedicated to his beloved wife and co-worker, Coretta. He wrote that book in 1958. Check that book out. Got another book called Strength to Love, his book on his sermons. And got another book. The last book I think he published was Where Do We Go From Here? Chaos or Community. And I just want y'all to pick up those books and go read them. And if you got a young kid, you got another book I'm going to figure out. I got another book. If you got a young 12-year-old, they were telling me about, it's good for that 12-year-old to learn a lot more about Martin Luther King. But I just wanted to make, I can't let, me being a black man, can't let I just can't stop with yesterday. I have to come again today and talk about him a lot. Jeffrey says "Strength to Love" is a good one. Man, let me tell you something. It's just fun learning, man. And like I said in the beginning, we got to be a little bit more intentional about be students. Be students of MLK Day. And not just the commercial stuff that people tell us. We read a newspaper. Let's dig a little deeper. What else got, Jimmy? What else you got going on? I know I got a lot of things, but what else you got going on today?
Oh shoot, we're gonna dive right up into it. Of course, we got a guest coming at the top of the hour, and as promised on yesterday, going to I guess help take take all of us through uh behind the lenses. And doing broadcasts, and you see a lot of a growing number of black men are in the broadcast among the broadcast team, but there aren't many in the production truck. And that's one of the things that I'm generating experience with now with the Cube and the Cube TV in Houston. We had the
Say the
first
statement
high
again,
school game.
Jimmy. Say the statement again.
There's a lot of why you may often see a black man on the broadcast table.
Yeah.
There aren't many. There aren't many on the production team. Mm-hmm. There ain't many in the truck. Outside of every game that's televised, you'll see a white truck, like an 18-wheeler or something parked outside. Yeah. Ain't many in there. Mm-hmm. And understand those are elements that's we often overlook, but
no, we don't overlook them. We don't see them. Jimmy, we're visual people. If we don't see it, how many people been in a production truck? A lot of people. If we don't see it and we don't talk about it, people would not know. Even this, Jimmy, even this system that we're using right now to broadcast this all over the world, this is engineer told me this is lacking to the production truck. He said it's like you in the Super Bowl, and the production truck is broadcasting what's happening in the Super Bowl. Jimmy, you are at home and I'm at home, but this system is broadcasting. So it's a unique. I love the way you penned it, but we need more guys like us in every aspect of society. In every, Jimmy, if you try to go to New York and look for an attorney. Jimmy, let me tell you something. The top law firms, Jimmy, all of them are white, are Jewish. So the sports is not the only, I know we're talking a sports show, but we need to figure out how we can broaden. And I'm glad you're bringing him up because we're talking about the black coaches and the black GMs. I know he's going to have a take on that, but it's just we need to put ourselves in a position. Think about it, Jimmy. We got a show right now, and you and I produce, do everything for it. And that's why we ask, we got the power to support ourselves. And a lot of us don't. So, but I'm glad you brought that up, Jimmy. I'm glad you brought that up. We need more black representations in all aspects of society, though.
And I've seen Gary Carter. He mentioned Steve Moe that produces the College Game Day, and yes, he's a brother. And I'm gonna give you a head start to go and look up. You can go Google the guy that we have coming on today.
Oh man,
he's the Dick Vitale of the production team. Then put it like that. His name is Mark Grant. Now go look that name up. Put Mark Grant. He's from Louisiana. So we had to write, it was easy. But Mark Grant, he's won and he's won 5 Emmys for his work.
And y'all, I've been blessed enough to talk to him earlier today. And I looked behind him. He showed me the 5 Emmys today. I don't know. Hey, let me tell y'all something. I don't know about y'all. I think wait a minute, Jimmy. No, I can rest assured. We ain't had nobody on this show with 5 Emmys. He turned his camera around and said, "Yep." And Jimmy, let's not let the light out the bag. Let's wait till Mark get. Let's wait till Mark get here.
Yeah, and so
Yeah.
the thing that he's coming on for
Uh-huh.
is because Gary, I understand you may know a few, not saying there's none.
No.
But one of the purposes that he's coming on the show today is to explain the angle from his purse that there are many.
Yes.
That blacks that are working in those fields.
That's right.
There's a few. But there aren't, I'm talking about in comparison with the counterparts, and I'm talking about basketball, and in comparison with the sport that they're covering. And that's the thing, and maybe it could inspire one of you guys to further inspire one of the student athletes out there that, guess what? Just because, and especially a lot of you guys out there that do the mixtapes, that video, make highlight tapes, film the games at the amateur level. These are opportunities that when you're putting all this stuff together, the graphics and all that, hey, it's opportunities. So we're just trying to cover all bases and also acknowledge one of our own brothers who's been in the game for almost 4 decades. Getting it done on various networks, ESPN. I mean, I'm not even going to let out the back. You'll see. Go Google it. Mark Grant. He's coming up at the top of the hour.
Jimmy, I'm glad you said that. Because a young lady right out of this grassroots community, Shanae Agumake, she produced the new thing, a new show for ESPN, chronologizing, Jimmy, how the WNBA has not just did this with Warnock. What they've been doing this all the time. They've been in the communities shaking hands all the time, Jimmy, because why? Trying to draw interest to what? The WNBA, because people wasn't joining the game. So they had already been out in the community for years, and she told them on TV today, she said, hey, look here, the WNBA not new to this, they true to this. And she said it, and Molly at the end had to say, I never forget what you just said. The WNBA is not new to. So when they wore Warnock, she took you through the story. But Jimmy, she's in front of the camera, but guess what? Now she put on her producer and director hat and penned something for ESPN. So guess what? Those the kind of things. Regina King, Jimmy, used to be an actress. And now what? She is the producer, director, Shonda Rhimes. Let me tell you something, man. Tyler Perry said, hold on, I told y'all this. Tyler Perry said, if they don't want to give me a seat at the table, I'm going to go and build my own table. And he got the biggest studio. You can put all the studios in Hollywood on his property. That's what we got to stop. And so that's what, when we bring guys like this on the show, it's just, instead of, let me tell you something, instead of just be a dreamer. You know, Martin Luther King was talking about a dream. Let's be a dreamer with a shovel. You'll get that when you go home. Be a dreamer with a shovel. In other words, have a dream, but put some work behind the dream. But Jimmy, what else you got, baby?
And so it's time for a quick break, and then we come on back and dive right into some sports. First on the docket, we have some NBA basketball. We'll take a lap and check out some of the games from last night. A lot of tasty matchups, a lot of shocking results, a lot of nail biters as well collectively when you combine the sports together. But NBA up next on the Chop Shop. You guys hang right there.
marching. Tired of marching for something that should have been mine at birth. I don't mind saying to you tonight. I don't mind saying to you tonight that I'm tired of the tension surrounding our day. I don't mind saying to you tonight that I'm tired of living every day under the threat of death. I have no martyr complex. I want to live as long as anybody in this building tonight, and sometimes I begin to doubt whether I'm going to make it through. I must confess I'm tired.
Hey! Fucking hey, man. Glad to see you guys. You guys are fucking patriots. Look at this guy. He's got covered in blood. God bless you.
Yes. You good, sir? Do you need medical attention? I'm good, thank you.
All right.
I got shot in the face. Where are they? I got shot in the face with some kind of plastic bullet.
Any chance I could get you guys to leave the Senate wing?
We will. I've been making sure they ain't disrespecting the place.
Okay, just want to let you guys know this is like the sacredest place.
I know.
Welcome back to the best 120 minutes of your day. The Chop Shop, the nation's #1 urban sports talk show, and also your midday sports happy hour. Yours truly, Robert Hatter, alongside Jim Hicks, coming to you live from Houston, Texas. I had to play that because I wanted to, before we get into sports, I wanted to just help you out. That was when the guys were in the Capitol, just the sacred place, as they said. I just wish, y'all, it's just me now. Don't have to be your opinion. I wish George Floyd was asked that nicely. I wish Breonna Taylor was asked that nicely. I wish Trayvon Martin was asked that nicely. I wish Philando Castillo was asked that nicely. I wish Eric Garner was asked that nicely. I wish Michael Brown was asked that nicely. I wish Tamir Rice was asked that nicely. I wish, and I'm going to go from here to that, Jim, and I'm glad we finna go. I just wish, and Jim, I want to show you something before you go into the NBA. I saw some last night, and I love, check this out. Anytime you in there, this is what he was really saying. Anytime you in there on Mark Gasol, that's barbecue chicken. But Jimmy, I know you want to talk about the NBA, but I love that by Dre. That's leadership. We can talk about he can't hit a shot. We can talk about he getting old. He making a lot of money. But if he's that valuable, those are kind of guys that we need around my young guy, Kevin Porter, who people were trying to talk about and bash yesterday. That's why I didn't fall for that bait, because it's an underlining story behind that. But Jimmy, where you want to go with NBA today?
I mean, we got first, of course, the Golden State Warriors knocked off the LA Lakers last night, and that was a big win for Golden State being on the road per se. Steph Curry hit that game clinching 3-pointer over Anthony Davis for that win, 115-113. Speaking of Draymond, the thing is with Draymond is one thing that people has never questioned was his leadership abilities and the energy that he brings from that standpoint, as being a coach on the floor. That part is there, and we have not necessarily a once the stat stuffer that Draymond was. Remember, he would flirt with a triple double, a couple of years ago all the time. Now he just plays a smarter brand, and he still, like last night, he still flirted with a triple double. I think he had 9 assists, 8 rebounds, 7 points. That's right there in that range of vintage Draymond, and a W. And the last time they had won a game, they had lost 2 straight before last night, Golden State. The last time they had won a game was against Toronto last week. And guess what? In that game, 10 points, 10 assists, 9 rebounds. So when Draymond is assertive and he's feeling well and productive in such fashion, chances are Golden State will be in position to win a game. That don't mean they're going to win every time he does that. But then you go and you look at the numbers they lost. They lost against Denver the other night. 1 point, 4 rebounds. You see? The game before that, they lost against Indiana. 7.6 rebounds. So when those rebounds are up, those are possessions. than you normally see a more competitive Golden State. But I like the fact that he's getting on the youngster James Wiseman with constructive that not necessarily criticism in that matter, but it was some construction, mental construction that he applied with him. And
I think he just
think
gave him
about
some
it.
direction. He said, "Keep your eyes up, man. I'm gonna
Yeah,
I'm
but
gonna hit you. Keep your eyes." He told me, "I didn't see it. I know you didn't see it. Keep your eyes up, young fella."
And going into the stat sheet from last night, of course, the Golden State was led by Steph Curry with 26. Kelly Oubre had a pretty good game last night, 23 points in that win. Andrew Wiggins, 18 points from him in the starting lineup. Pascal, hey, he was balling last night. He found a couple of mismatches and made the Lakers pay on a couple of occasions from him. And 8 of 11 from the field, 19 points. Kevin Looney, 7 points. Bazemore had 4. I mean, everybody played or scored, that is, except for like 2 players on the roster. So that was good for Golden State. Great productivity, team effort. As for the Lakers, looking at this stat sheet out, the Lakers were, of course, 9 for 29 from three-point land, 24 for 33 from the free throw line. That ain't good. That ain't good. That's 72% from the stripe. And then when it came, especially when you're considering the fact that the Lakers out-rebounded Golden State 50-32, almost a 20 rebound edge, and you still lost the game.
And usually that when you out rebound a team, you usually win the game. Usually,
especially like that by double digits. That means that's double digits possession. And then you look and say, well, if they rebounded them, did the turnovers offset some of those possessions? Lakers had 16 turnovers. Golden State, 13 turnovers. So that's only a -3. And I'm looking, free throw line is detrimental as where I think the magical statistic for the Lakers. And, as far as them scoring wise, Lil Ugly came out the gates hot. He scored like 10 in the first quarter, I think. That's Dennis Schroeder. He finished with 25 points.
He can play.
LeBron had 19, AD 17. And I just put it like this. The measuring stick for the Lakers, I found magical stat number 2. If LeBron James and Anthony Davis play 35 minutes or more and both are held under 20 points, Lakers not winning. Remember that. Lakers not winning. If they both play that amount of minutes, 35 plus, and are held under 20 points each, it's not likely they're gonna win. Now, unless it's just let's say they went up on somebody by 40, and they cruise the rest of the way. So Wesley Matthews, I see his role is increasing for his playing time. 15 minutes last night. Harrell Trez played at 17 points, 8 rebounds. He's been consistent. Kyle Kuzma has been consistent. It stepped up his productivity for the Lakers. 15 points, 10 rebounds. Morris, he's been demoted, it looks like, as far as his minutes. Caruso, 20 minutes last night logged. And but anyway, good win. That was a better win. Or I'm gonna ask you guys, was that a better win for Golden State or a worse loss for the Lakers? That's the thing to think about. And as for last night. Now, also last night, the Houston Rockets. Oladipo made his debut. No John Wall, no Daniel House, no Sterling Brown, who Sterling Brown has played his way into the rotation. Is going to be definitely a contributor part of that nine-man rotation. But the Rockets, 125-120 loss at Chicago. They Zach LaVine lit them up, 33 points, 4 for 8 from the field. 11 for 16. 4 for 8 from 3-point land, 11 for 16 from the field, 33 points on 16 attempts, 7 assists for Ozak. All 5 starters produced double digits for Chicago. Off the bench, Valentine with 13 and 8. Oh, Young with 12 and 9. Good productivity. Now, of course, that's Thaddeus.
Crystal said, when is Gerald Green coming back? I didn't know he was back.
Gerald Green was waived, Crystal.
Yeah.
They're not they're based on the trades they have coming in.
Tiffany helped. Tiffany helped. Thank you, Tiffany. Tiffany said, come back from where?
No. Remember, I explained to you guys last month that the plan is for Gerald Green to continue to be assertive in the community. And if it's like an if then, and if so, then the Rockets will likely establish a position, an outreach position for Gerald Green. It's kind of like what the Astros did for Darryl Wade. Well, he didn't play for the Astros, but there's a guy in the community that with the RBI program and stuff. That you're connected to the urban community. So that's the plan, a plan, not the plan, a plan for Gerald Green with the Rockets. Now back to the Rockets. Wood, 30 points. Oladipo scored 32 in his debut, 13 for 23 from the field. He had a pretty good game, on the offensive side of the fence, 9 assists, 5 rebounds. Of course, he had 7 turnovers to go with that and an L. However, Eric Gordon, he was in the starting lineup, 21 points. PJ Tucker, guys, 34 minutes, 2 points. I put it like this with PJ, and I'm PJ in the Rockets' last 5 games, they've won 1. And the one game that they've won, PJ scored 10 points, right? On the offensive end. The one game they won, that was against San Antonio, remember? The other day. Well, in the other 4 that they lost, he's combined for only 10 points. I follow PJ's numbers because they tell the story of it. And meanwhile, in most of those games, he logged all except one. He logged over 30 minutes on the court as a starter. We're not stopping nobody. That's what PJ was advertised as the defensive stopper. You're not stopping guys no more. PJ supposed to have been that positive motivator. PJ is the frustrated motivator. PJ established, he wanted to get up out of here too. And I'm thinking they're going to ship PJ up out of here. They just got to find the right thing in the right place, the right team they want to do the favor for. Because whomever they get for PJ, they're going to be probably seeking draft picks. Remember, PJ's unhappy.
Did you say draft pick? Did you say draft picks?
Yeah, draft pick or picks. You get a first and a second, a couple of seconds, for draft picks. It depends. One low first, depending on who the team is. Or 2 second rounds.
Boy, I sure would like to be a GM against you.
Remember now, PJ has value. I'm telling you, there are 2 offers on the table for sure. Now the thing is, whom the Rockets want to do a solid to, who you want to bless with the favor of giving them the PJ Tucker, the enforcer. Now that he will bring, but while you're enforcing, you still have to produce to some capacity, or you're going to be a liability. It's like DeMarcus Cousins for the Rockets last night. You realize DeMarcus Cousins didn't hit a shot? He didn't hit a shot last night. 0 for 7 from the field, 0 for 5 from three-point line in 16 minutes. There is no way in hell that DeMarcus Cousins should be attempting 5 3-pointers in a 16-minute span. That's 1 per 3 minutes coming off the bench with this team. After he had not made one of the previous, after that first one, didn't make one. There's no way in the world. It's a reason that some people are open in the game. Did you notice? And speaking of another game, and of course, I see Thad Moody. He's in Chicago. So shout out to the Bulls. Good win. Solo. Say, come on, Hicks. PJ not worth no player or draft picks. Solo. There, PJ will get Rockets will get a draft pick in return for him. They are trying to get a first rounder, which that may not be likely, but they're going to get draft pick for him.
Come on, DJ. Hey, D1 Hornets. I got to put that on the screen so everybody can see that. He said, man, PJ shoes worth more than him. Come on, Mr. D1 Hornets, man. Don't do him like that. I think he's on. Oh, hold up. See, I don't want to. See, some people can be disenchanted with the team, and they score 17 points. Some people be disenchanted with their team, and they score 2 points or no points. It's levels to this thing, man. It's levels to it. PJ Tucker. I hope he has value.
No, I mean that. Understand
no other team he can start on.
Well, that's the whole thing. He knows the starting point is not going to be the issue. That ain't the Rockets' concern.
Wait a minute.
That's not the Rockets' concern. Where you going to go to start?
Tiffany said, we'll take Joakim Noah. Oh,
no,
well, y'all can't.
Hell
yeah,
no.
Rockets can. Yeah, Rockets.
No. Wouldn't work. Him and Boogie Cousins in the same locker room, it would not work. We would implode with them two in the locker room together. Because, I mean, seriously.
What about Jordan Crawford? Man, Jordan Crawford must not be a good locker room guy.
I don't know. We had both had to check our traps over the weekend and find out what happened.
I said that for a reason.
He's 2 years older now.
Jim, I said that for a reason.
Yeah. So that means you're insinuating that he's not a good locker room guy.
He must not be a good locker room guy.
But there you go. There you have it. In regards to and understand, how old is Crawford? Are you guys not forgetting how old
now? He old as hell.
He's over 40 years old.
Hey, but Landon was wrong, Jimmy. Did you see what Landon put up there? He said, we'll give PJ a first round in 2032. Landon, come on, man.
Yeah, that's the first round that you're taking. Tuck it away.
10 years from now.
It'll be valuable in 12 years. I take it. Take that in the second round to go with it. Maybe a second round in 2026 or 2025. Something you can at least get a sense of.
So Jimmy, but y'all already said the Rockets they 4-8, and you already said you don't expect nothing from them, no way, right?
No. I expect the team, this Rockets team, which they haven't been full and played the full clip yet.
Jamal Crawford, I'm sorry. Jimmy, Jamal Crawford. I'm sorry. Jamal Crawford.
What Crawford we said?
I said Jordan.
Yeah, we meant Jamal.
We meant Jamal. My bad.
Yeah.
My bad.
Yeah, we meant Jamal.
Yeah.
And my expectations for the Rockets is to be in that 10th slot for the chance to have a play-in to the playoff. That's what I'm saying. Right now they're next to last. But next to last is only like 4 games out, maybe 3. No, not even that much. A game and a half out of the 10th spot.
They 5.5. Oh, you talking about out of the 10th spot? Okay.
Out of the 10th spot. See, some people be looking for the first. How many games you out of the home field advantage with the Rockets? Don't even do that. Just keep your Rockets.
Game and a half.
Just keep their thing.
The Dallas Mavericks, man. The Dallas Mavericks. How's they losing? They look so good.
And isn't Porzingis back now?
Yeah. They look good.
So No, but they lost last night.
I said they look good. I ain't said they
Oh, okay.
win.
Yeah.
I see. Notice
Look
I
good
don't.
in the layup line.
I know. I'm just saying. I like the way they play. They just don't. They don't know how to end game. Maybe they need. Maybe they shouldn't have traded the coach so soon. The coach that's here in Houston. Maybe he should have stayed up there. But I'm sitting here watching the Memphis Grizzlies in the 8th spot. But how many more games we got? We got so that's what we got. That's 15 games. When did we say 18?
We say about the 18 to the 20 mark.
18 is okay. We got a
18
few more
is our
games,
thing.
and
So
we go.
probably it looks like what, Monday?
Yeah, and we're gonna see what everybody likes. So ain't too much can change.
Yeah, it is. Look at everybody. Yeah. Yeah. A win and a loss gets you 3 spots up. Everybody's right there, especially in the West.
I know.
Yeah.
I know I know one of my teams is 5th in the East right now. I know.
How many teams you got? You say one of them.
I got who I like. I don't like but 2 teams, right? I like Philadelphia and Brooklyn. Them the only 2 teams I like.
Them only two you like?
Yeah.
Okay.
Philadelphia and Brooklyn. Right now.
I like that. I like when you add that to it right now, because that damn show gonna change.
Because that
That
defense
is gonna
change. Notice I say I like them. I ain't gonna go, but I like the Brooklyn Nets, man. I mean, you can go. I know you want to talk around that, but
no, because I'm still. Let's not leave Dallas off the hook.
Okay.
Because misery love company. Man, understand something. Dallas has lost 3 in a row. In case you got Dallas, D-Town. Dallas, this is Dallas' whole squad.
Dude, I like Luka Doncic. That's all I like.
But something is not right with the chemistry of the team. I understand Porzingis just came. I understand that. But Toronto beats you by a quarter. Understand this, Hatter. Not by 3, not by 5, by 23 points? I rounded off to a quarter. That ain't supposed to happen. This ain't the Toronto team of yesteryear. This is a Toronto team that was damn near, they were damn near in last place before this win last night.
But they
got
the
issues.
They still got the same players, Jimmy, that has been perennial winners. They still got the same players.
1 year. Well, no. Ibaka is gone. He was a glue. He was their Draymond. He was what PJ Tucker once was to the Rockets, as far as the heart.
Man,
the heart of the team. Every other team has one. But so Serge was a tremendous asset to that team.
As long as you got Kyle Lowry on that team, you're gonna have a chance to win. I mean, Kristaps. Oh, wait a minute, Kristaps Ball. What with Luka? Luka is my only. Hey, Luka is my white nephew. Luka 15 last night.
I'm telling you, something ain't. Just pay attention.
Luka gonna mess around. I'm gonna put his ass out the family doing that.
What? Understand? Now he's balling
no 15 points now. My dude.
No, but I mean, he had 30 something the other day. I mean, he's balling this year. I'm talking about in that particular game. It happens. But the fact of the matter still remains is that the Dallas Mavericks have lost 3 straight. That's the key. You've lost 3 consecutive games, and you have to put it together.
Okay, Crystal, thank you. Crystal said he hurt. Y'all gonna lay up off Luka. Luka. Big Luka. Big Luka, little Luka. I like little Luka. Yeah, Crystal said Crystal said he hurt. It's gotta be something wrong. But Jimmy, what do you think? This Utah Jazz team is quietly is 9-4 and ain't nobody talking about it. I'm just looking at these standings. Somebody just brought it up to me on the feed. All I'm worried about is, I'm an East dude, Jimmy. I could never thought I'd be liking the East. I'm an East dude now, man. I don't even worry about what happened in the West. Let me see, do I like anybody in the West first? I like the Grizzlies. Yeah, I like the Grizzlies. That's it. That's it, Jim. I'm an East Coast man now. Hey, I'm an East Coast man now. What happened, Jim?
Oh, I'm just reading. I'm just
Oh,
replying.
don't read. Hold up.
I
I
just
got something for
replied
you,
to
though. Hold up.
Keith Paul. Let's go
Watch
back
it,
to
Jim.
Come
Hold up.
on now, dog. Come on, man. Come on now, dog. Come on, man. Come on.
I couldn't wait to use that. Come on now, dog.
And you said about the Utah Jazz.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, Utah Jazz is doing well. 9-4. We thought Denver would have the record that Utah Jazz is having, and that Utah Jazz would have the record that Denver is having. That's it going into this season. And of course, I know Michael Porter is out with COVID COVID restrictions, but Utah 9-4, like you said. Now, will it hold up? Time to tell. But right now, hey, it's a beautiful day in Zamunda for the Jazz. And another game, of course, last night. Speaking of out, McConnell is out for the Portland Trailblazers. Meanwhile, what that simply means is one thing.
McCallum.
I say
you messed
McConnell.
me up. I'm
McCallum.
thinking you talking about TJ McCallum.
Yeah.
McCallum. Okay,
McCallum.
I got you.
McCallum.
Okay.
And what that means is basically one thing. That means more shots for Dame Lillard. And
No,
San Antonio.
more shots for somebody else. More shots for Melo. Dame gonna shoot 1,000 shots a game anyway. You mean more shots for Melo?
Melo is not in the starting lineup anymore.
That's all right, but he still get more shots.
He's by default, yeah, he will because he get more minutes now. A few more minutes. Because Melo was about 20 minutes a game, I think. And I think last night he played 26. But hey, the Spurs had 2 players come off the bench to score 20 points. If you think that's common, pay attention to all of the box scores the rest of the season. And you watch and let's take score of how many future games that we will see where 2 guys come off the bench and produce.
First of all, I want to see who those guys are. Rudy Gay and
those
Patty Mills,
two,
Jimmy,
Rudy
they
Gay,
damn near starters, Jimmy.
Yeah, but they'll come off the bench though. They once were. And Patty Mills is a de facto, he started before in each of the last few seasons. He comes off the bench. That's like saying Lou Will. Lou Will is a starter if he wants.
Jimmy freezing up over there
in LA.
Huh? No, you're good now.
So Patty Mills, Rudy Gay, both scored 21 points. Both combined 10 for 15 from 3-point land. It doesn't shock you for Patty Mills, but for Rudy Gay.
Dude, I'm just Rudy Gay play has lived up to his last name. No, Landon, no. No, Rudy been a baller for a long time.
The thing is with Rudy Gay is the Rockets really wanted him. Remember?
Yeah.
He didn't want to come to the Rockets.
No, he didn't.
And I'm so glad because Rudy Gay was he had plateaued.
Jimmy better than PJ Tucker.
Yeah, but that was different money at the time. Rudy Gay wanted way more money.
Yeah, he like money, but I'm talking about right now.
Absolutely.
I take him better than the PJ Tucker.
They wouldn't give you him for PJ Tucker either.
I know they wouldn't.
They'd give your ass a bag full of honey buns, like that boy did for that kid's birthday.
Is you gonna talk about Kevin Durant and that other dude yet? When you gonna talk about them? When you gonna talk
saving
about
saving that game for last, and that was the marquee matchup of the day.
Wait a minute. Whoa. So you saying on Martin Luther King Day, the marquee matchup was that game?
The marquee matchup, for us, all things considered, was the Bucks and the Nets.
Oh,
that was the marquee game of the day.
Okay, I got you. Okay, I got you.
As far as the players, the personnel on the floor.
All right. Oh, okay. Say the best.
Golden State. Remember, they put the schedule together. Golden State, LA Lakers. That schedule was put together before. The big what's his name got hurt. Klay Thompson. It was before then. Yeah. That schedule was already in place. That would have been the marquee matchup, the nightcap. That's why it was the West Coast
It
time
was
and
still a
whatnot.
marquee matchup. Anytime you got
Yeah, but
Stephon
it,
Curry.
it didn't have the same fizz, because even everything with Golden State, it's like the little engine that could for them this year. You root for them, and guess what?
I
Golden
don't think
State
so.
out of
I don't think so.
Golden State right now, this West is going to be such a glut to get in them playoffs. Somebody's going to obviously have to go whichever team, just like I mentioned that Dallas lost 3 straight. Whatever team, one of those second tier teams can pull off 4, 5, 6 wins in a row is going to help them a great deal come February, March. Somebody need to get some separation because while everybody else is win 1, lose 1, lose 1, win 1, win 1, lose 2, win 2. And everybody just hitting the brakes and the gas at the same time.
Let's see who on
Now
the winning
back
streak.
to the
Hold on,
marquee
Jim.
matchup, the Bucks and the Nets. 125-123 last night. The Brooklyn Nets, that is, pull off the win, a very impressive win. Whereas the stars shined for the most part, and you learned a lot of things about this game. Once again, the Brooklyn team, all 5 starters produced double digits. DeAndre Jordan was about as active as he's been in 2 years. DeAndre Jordan, 12 points, 12 rebounds. And his energy level was at a premium. He was in straight positive mode. He was positive if you're a Nets player. No fans were in the building. So they have the auto
Turned the ball
generated
over 5 times, Jimmy.
Yeah, that's that. But you made up for that. He made up for that with rebounds. He got them possessions back. So turn it over. That means you have 7 rebounds instead of 12 rebounds. A -5 turnovers.
James had 6 turnovers, but he had 12 assists.
Who that?
James had 6 turnovers, but he had 12 assists.
Yeah, so that's a +6
ratio.
It's a +6 in that category for him. Now, speaking of the Nets, KD 30 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists, 10 for 21 from the field. James Harden 13 for 25 from the field, 3 for 10 from 3-point land. He finished with a game high 34, matching the total of the Greek Freak on the other side of the ball. More on him in a minute. But James Harden also grabbed 6 rebounds, dished out 12 assists in the win.
And also, Jimmy, I want you to go. He scored or assisted on 129 points in the last 2 games. James Harden did. He scored or assisted on 129 points in the last 2 games. I just wanted to give people who didn't
and those are wins. Remember, I said earlier, the test of the mettle of the Nets will be if and when they lose a couple of games in a row, and somebody and that will be the test of them. Because the media.
I just want the playoffs, Jimmy. I want them to be healthy for the playoffs. I ain't worried about this.
Well, and that's the second layer of it.
That's all I want.
Is no matter what, everybody's gonna be watching then. But before that comes,
why? Because you always say the regular season don't mean nothing. So me personally, because Greek Freak them won more games than anybody in the last couple of years. And get in the playoffs and get their head tore off. So me and my thing is, I'm just glad, man, even James, you're talking about, what's his name? Jordan looked like he was happy. James looked like he was happy. I mean, and of course it's going to be some.
You're happy you're winning right now.
Yeah.
You're winning and you're where you want to be.
Yes.
So the thing is when things tighten up, do you guys nobody? So that's what I'm saying. In La La Land, they're going to lose a game.
Of course.
They're not going to go undefeated.
Of course.
So that means in losing, nobody's going to be able to pick and say, well, they shouldn't lose nobody but but maybe the Sixers or the Celtics or the Bucks, they shouldn't lose nobody else. And that's not going to happen. They're going to lose games to somebody that you're not going to even see coming. And it maybe if 2 or 3 happens in a row, the media, there are certain ways you catch that guy after that bad loss. And what his response.
That's the media. That's why I don't listen to them clowns. So.
And understand, that's the power of it. And coming up at the top of the hour, we have a guy that's going to can speak on the power of the media. And we're going to, like I said, this team, it was a great performance from New Jersey. Kevin Durant, man, dude, KD is scary right now.
He been scared.
Think about it. Huh?
He been scared.
No, I'm talking about after of all things considered, coming off of that injury that he incurred, that surgery,
So what's scary about him? What's scary about him?
For him to be in the form that he was in.
He had 2 years off. He didn't try to come back. See, what happens is in Achilles injuries, some people try to rush back too soon. He didn't. Kobe rushed back too damn soon because, he can't stand not being Kobe, a playing. KD, that 2 years off, Jimmy, it helped. And he came back healed. And guess what? He don't have a lot of weight bearing down on his Achilles like a lot of guys do. So I wasn't surprised. Because he took so long. When I tell you, they treated him, like with white gloves, Jimmy. Even Sean Marks, the GM up there, he made sure he didn't never say. You remember there was some whispers last year talking about he gonna play, they gonna come and play in the bubble. Sean Marks said, don't even play no games like that, New York media. No, let's not even play no games. He's not gonna do it. Huh?
Here's the thing I mentioned with Kevin Durant, and I say scary. In Kevin Durant's career, he's never shot the ball this well from three-point land, ever. This is why it's scary.
How much? Tell me what is percentage from? What's the big difference? How many percentage points is different?
It ain't even close. He's shooting damn near 50% from the three-point land, Howard.
Oh, that's right now. You ain't gonna do that for the whole season.
Yeah, but still, right now we're talking what he's played. He probably only missed about 4 games this year.
What is his career? What is his career shooting?
If I had to guess, if I had to guess, his career would be somewhere around 35%, 36%.
Well, he'd admit. I guess is here, Jim. He on time. We got him in the green room. That's all right.
About 36% for a career.
36%. Corey says 40%.
I'm talking about take it, not including this year. So if you're saying his career, that means you're including the 48 from this year. Take the 48% that Kevin Durant is shooting right now from behind the arc.
Okay.
Table that to the side.
Okay.
The previous years before.
Yeah.
I'm saying it was somewhere around 36.
You remember he was the mid-range king. He was the mid-range. He was the pull-up mid-range king. That wasn't his. But now.
That's scary now.
I'm going to tell you what's scary.
All the way out there.
Jim, I'm going to tell you what's scary. He got that monster that's playing with him now. That's a little scary too. He having James Harden to come in there and flick that ball back to him. And I'm just curious, and I can't wait till our guest. I know he's seen it. I'm just curious how Kyrie gonna handle this thing when he get back, and cause he can play. Kyrie know how to play. And that's what a lot of people. Yeah, he love to pat the ball. Yeah, he love to do this. He love to do that. And but what I liked about them last night, Jimmy, they defended when they needed to. Last night, I don't know if you watched the game. They defended, in key areas. And this boy, Joe Harris, y'all think about this. Instead of, what's your boy Jimmy, PJ Tucker being in the corner waiting on the ball, we got Joe Harris in the corner. The 3-point champion is in the corner waiting on the pass. So, I mean, I think this team can be scary. They need to be a little tougher. They have to find them. I wish PJ can come up there with them. Tell the Rockets just cut PJ and send him up there.
They're not going to cut him.
If I had my druthers.
You're going to get some juice out of that lemon. You're going to squeeze something about it. You're going to get a second round, a high second round pick, and a future consideration of something. Awesome cash.
Hey, let me tell you something. Joseph Ty, he got a lot of problems, but money ain't one of them. The owner of the Nets, money ain't one of them. But Jimmy.
Now I want to add something before we bring our guests in.
Okay.
And I see you, Corey and Lauren Scott. Remember, the question was, what was Kevin Durant's career 3-point percentage? We were talking, remember, I know they had a mint before this year, because if you factor in the 48% he's shooting this year, take that out of it. Okay. Take that out of it. Then, of course, he's a career 38%. So that means that includes the 48% that's going in right now. He's 31 for 64, I think, from the 3-point land. And he's only played 11 games this year out of the 15 that Brooklyn has been on. So I said he missed about 4 games.
Just a sample size.
So you do the math, it's about, like I said, about 36.5%, something like that, 37 max that he's a career before this year.
Hey, watch when Kyrie get back those first few games. James gonna go out the way to pass that thing to Kyrie.
Well, they all gonna be a bit unselfish. When you get somebody new comes in, the unselfishness is always at a premium, and sometimes it can be to a fault. It's like, no, you get it. No, you take it, man.
LeBron
You got it.
Like Bron and AD was doing in the beginning.
Yeah, it could be almost to a fault. You need somebody to go on and get it. But at the same time, I can see James Harden doing more of the point guard delivery and Kyrie being able to operate and attack.
Yeah, I love
it. That way now, what it does is it'll put James Harden closer out there and he can stretch the floor.
Jimmy, they was killing. Hey, you know somebody called and told me they was out there in L.A. Could nobody beat those 3. When they was playing against the other pros, could nobody beat those 3. They played on the team every day. Those same team. That same team every day. Nobody could beat them. But Jimmy, let's bring in our special guest, man. I can't wait.
We go to break real quick and then come on into our guest. Let's go to a quick break. Give you guys a chance to share the show to your timelines. Okay. If you're watching us on YouTube, give us a thumbs up right now. I see you, Chuck McCown. I see you, Landon Ardoin. I see Wesley Yates Jr. I see Odyssey Williams. We got an Odyssey sighting. We ain't know what the hell happened to Odyssey after that North Shore game. We just got Little Rick Tim, Frankie Paul is over there. Shout out to Coach over there in the YouTube land. And shout out to all you guys. Give us a thumbs up. If you're on the Facebook feed, this is the perfect time to share the show to your timelines, to your friends, to your groups. We have a special guest coming up next. We about to get educated, y'all. We're going to go inside the truck. We're going to go into the production room. Black men in sports media on the production part, the ones you don't see. What goes on into a broadcast? What goes into a broadcast? And guess what? Opportunities. How can you or somebody, one of your student athletes or students, get into this field? That and a lot of questions, a lot of more when we come right back with Mark Grant of CBS Sports. Chop shop.
Somebody told a lie one day. They couched it in language. They made everything black, ugly, and evil. Look in your dictionary and see the synonyms of the word black. There's always something degrading and low and sinister. Look at the word white. It's always something pure, high, and clean. But I want to get the language right tonight. I want to get the language so right that everybody here will cry out, yes, I'm black, I'm proud of it, I'm black and beautiful.
It's argued the Negro is a criminal. He has the highest crime rate in any city. The arguments go on ad infinitum. But the individuals who set forth these arguments never go on to say that if there are lagging standards in the Negro community, and there certainly are, they lag because of segregation and discrimination. They never go on to say that criminal responses are environmental and not racial. Poverty, ignorance, social isolation, economic deprivation breed crime, whatever the racial group may be, and it is a torturous logic to use the tragic results of segregation as an argument for the continuation of it. It is necessary to go back to the causal basis and deal with that.
Welcome back to the best 120 minutes of your day. The Chop Shop, the nation's #1 urban sports talk show, and also your midday sports happy hour. Yours truly, Robert Hatter, alongside Jim Hicks, coming to you live from Houston, Texas. And Jimmy, as customary, you bring our special guest in the building. And I'm going to just sit back and watch.
Well, I mean, what we have right now, as promised, guys, we're going to get educated on and introduce to you guys by way of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Well, Shreveport, Louisiana, my hometown. By way of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, where he went to college. And we have Mark Grant. Guys, check this out. 5-time Emmy Award-winning director. He's been at CBS Sports for 22 years. He covers college football, NFL, basketball, of course. He's even covered the Masters.
My man.
Right? So Hatter, don't dare ask him about playing golf. We gonna, from Louisiana.
Hold on. Can I give him something
he might
right quick?
He might put the hostel on your ass.
Can I give him something right quick? Hold on. Jimmy, thank you, Mark. But Jimmy, I'm blessed enough to be able to go to the Masters a couple of times. And I just know, and that's right, CBS does the broadcast. Unbelievable. But welcome, Mr. Grant, to the Chop Shop with your 5 Emmy winning self in the building. What's going on, man?
Robert, Jimmy, it's great to be here. It's always a pleasure to tell my story and talk to people about what I do for a living. I think it's pretty neat what I do. And so I'm very grateful for y'all to have me on your show.
Wow. Hey, and also forgot to remind the viewers, you worked at ESPN for over a decade, right? And you covered pretty much all the major events on that network, right? And I also had to mention those 5 Emmys. Let me add something to the portfolio. You know what I'm saying? Put something else in the hell. This obituary, we building it today.
Not no obituary, Jimmy. No.
When you make it before we actually go in the program, we creating it right now. We're gonna find it. Okay. Guess what else he got?
What else he got?
He got 3 ACE awards.
Excuse me.
Oh, in case you're wondering what the hell is an ACE, we ain't talking about the damn hardware store. That's the highest award for TV production in the cable TV industry.
That's right.
That's the Rose Bowl of all awards.
That's right. That's right. and hold on, Jimmy. I got something else for you, Jimmy. Hold on. He just got selected to the LSU Hall of Distinction last week. about that?
It's the Hall of Distinction. Explain it. What do you have to do to get in that? How much it costs to get in that, Mr.
Oh
Grant?
my!
You know what? I don't know what it takes to get selected in there. I'm just very lucky that somebody recommended me a long time ago, and it was over 10 years ago, and this year my number got called. And sometimes somebody gets in the Hall of Fame because it was a slow year. Maybe it was a slow year this year and they didn't have a lot of people. I don't know. They have a lot of people who graduate from LSU, and I'm sure they have a lot to choose from, but somehow they chose me, and they chose 6 other people. 3 of us are people of color. And so I'm just honored to be in it. And, sometimes you just don't ask questions. You just say, thank you. And that's how I feel.
Wow.
And of course, now you graduated from LSU in 1981, and you graduated in broadcast journalism. And well, to ask you, what was your break? What because we have a couple of former interns on the Chop Shop who have went on and they are in media now. And one worked with the ESPN for 2 summers as an intern with them as well. And now she's in television as a sports anchor in Louisiana, actually, in Alexandria.
Alexander.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
she was
Mm-hmm.
all down there. But so what was the moment that gave your break?
Yeah, it's an interesting story because when I went to LSU in the late 70s, I got there in 1977 and I graduated in 1981. I started out in pre-med. I wanted to be a doctor, but it didn't take very long for me to realize that I wasn't going to be a doctor. And I didn't have anything else to really fall back on because my whole life I wanted to be a doctor. Wow. And so I happened to fall in love with somebody that was going to LSU that was majoring in broadcast journalism. And I just wanted to be close to her. LSU is a big campus. I wanted to be around her as much as I could. And so I changed my major to broadcast journalism. And that's honestly how I got into it. And then once I got into it, I was really fascinated by what goes on behind the scenes. I never really wanted to be that person on camera holding the microphone, but I wanted, I really liked shooting camera and editing and writing and doing all those things. I went to an LSU basketball game once in 1978, and it was being covered by this company I've never heard of before. And I went down to them, and they had on these red jackets with these white letters. And I went up to one of the camera guys. I said, "What the heck is eSpin?" And they said, "No, bro, we're ESPN. We're a brand new 24-hour sports network, and we're going to revolutionize television. We're going to cover sports 24/7, 365. I went back to my seat and I told my girlfriend, I said, "You know what? Someday I'm going to work for them." And so every time they would come to LSU to cover sports, okay, I would knock on the door of the truck and say, "Hey, can I work for you?" And a lot of times, no, it wasn't running camera. It wasn't being a director or anything like that. Sometimes it was just holding the camera cable. Sometimes it was holding that big parabolic mic you see on football games, those people on the sidelines holding the big microphone. Yeah. And I did that. And I eventually started working for the local cable company in Baton Rouge. And, I used to cover city council meetings and school board meetings as a cameraman today. And tomorrow I'd be the audio guy. And the next day I'd be the director. And it just kind of rotated around. But we also covered high school sports. And I continue to work, when people would come to town now, not just ESPN, but ABC and CBS and NBC. When they would come to town, I would just go there and work for them. And I was able to look at what they do and try to make my high school football game that I was now producing or directing, make it look big time. And I was able to kind of win those ACE awards you talked about. I won some ACE awards. And eventually, I started running camera for ESPN and all that. And eventually they took note and they realized that I had some experience and some talent to do more than just run camera. And they gave me a chance to become an associate director. And eventually it led to being a director. But it didn't happen overnight. I graduated like I said, I graduated in 1981. And I didn't start working for ESPN until 1987. So it took a long time. I quit my full-time job in 1989 to become a director for ESPN. And I really never looked back after that. I was very fortunate that, I was doing some of the high profile events that ESPN has, college football, college basketball, Major League Baseball, doing all those things. And just really, really happy with what I did. the thing about our job as producers and directors is we sign very short-term contracts. Not unlike an athlete. An athlete doesn't sign a lifetime contract. They don't have tenure like a professor. They just get, they sign a contract, and if they perform after when the contract's up, you get reevaluated and you can renew your contract. And that's what I did for all my time at ESPN. I just kept renewing and renewing and renewing my contract based on my performance. They like what I do, and so every 3 or 4 years we renew the contract, get new terms, and it just went on and on and on. And I was very, very happy with ESPN. I loved working there, and it just so happened in 1998. CBS got the NFL back. They had lost the NFL many years ago to Fox, which is how they built their network. Fox started with the NFL and built programming around it. And so when CBS gets the NFL back, a lot of the people who do what I do had left to go to Fox. And so now CBS has the NFL back, and they don't have people who can direct big time football. They don't have enough people. They had people, but not enough people. Mm-hmm. And so I got an interview with CBS. And CBS offered me a job. And what was beautiful about it is that, and I speak to a lot of college kids, and I speak to a lot of high school kids, and I tell them this story. And I had a contract with ESPN. I'd agreed to a new deal, and I just hadn't signed it and sent it back. And now CBS comes calling, and I kind of got in a crossfire between ESPN and CBS. It's almost like being a free agent in sports. That's what I was. I was a free agent. Yeah. And ESPN had the right to match any offer that was offered to me by anybody else. And so every time CBS made me an offer, ESPN matched it. CBS made a better offer, ESPN matched it. CBS made a better offer, ESPN matched it. And finally, CBS made an offer, and ESPN said, "Fine, you can have the bum. We don't like him. We never did. You can have him."
I like
and
your
so
agent.
That's how I got to CBS.
I like your agent, but keep going.
Yeah,
I like your agent.
He was a good man. He was a good man. Yeah. And so that was in 1998. And I've been at CBS for 22 years now, doing my thing. And I walked in the door as a director at CBS. No one's ever done that before. Everybody had to work their way up from the bottom, but they were in a bind. I was the first Black director they ever hired, and I've been doing it at this level for a long, long time now, and I love what I do. As you said, I get to work some of the premier events on high-profile events on CBS. I work the NFL. I get to work college basketball. I get to do March Madness, and I get to go to Augusta every year and do the Masters. And so it's a pretty good gig, but it takes a lot of hard work, and I never realize or forget how lucky I am to do what I do. When you think about the fact that there are 32 NFL teams, which means there's only 16 NFL games on a given weekend, and I'm one of 16 people directing the NFL. And the only Black person directing the NFL every week. It's pretty special. And, sometimes I have to pinch myself and say, God, I'm actually here doing this. And I've been doing it for 22 years, and I still get excited every time I direct the game. Every time I'm calling the shots and doing what I do, I get excited about doing it. So that's my story of how I got to where I'm at today.
Wow. When you say direct the games, can you give us an example of what goes into the functions of the director in a ball game? So that we can relate. That we get a lot of people watching, so they can. Yeah. That way, when they see something happen, I skip for a minute. When they see something happen, they'll kind of know. Okay, that's Mark. Our guy Mark Grant, he's working right now. That's him doing that. Give us an example.
Yeah. Well, the director is the person who puts everything on the air. So when you're watching the game at home and you see a camera shot change, or you see a replay come on the screen, you see a graphic come on the screen, somebody has to make that all happen, okay? And so I like to say to people that I kind of conduct the orchestra. We have a lot of talented pieces, a lot of talented people making it all happen, but somebody has to bring it all together, and that's what I do. Okay. And so you have camera people, you have audio people, you have graphics people, you have announcers. Okay. But all of that, all those different parts have to come together. And so I'm the person that's doing this. And so when a play happens and the guy scores a touchdown, I'm the one who calls all the shots. I say, camera 1, give me the far side coach. Camera 2, give me the near side coach. Camera 3, give me the crowd. 4, give me the cheerleaders. Camera 17, give me the guy who scored a touchdown. Give me camera 22, give me the guy who beat on the play. And then when all those shots are there, I'm the one who says, take 1, take 2, take 12, take 22. I'm the one who puts all those shots on the air. And then when the moment is, and then now the producer, he decides what replay we go to. And then I put the replays on the air. The replays are done. We come out to a shot of the guy who scored a touchdown. It's got a graphic, Joe Blow, 18 carries, 142 yards, 2 touchdowns. I put the graphic in, and then I get ready for the extra point, and it just goes on and on and on. And what I like to tell people is that my job really nothing when the play is going on, when the play is happening, I really don't have a lot to do. But when the whistle blows and the play is over, I have to make a movie. And I've got about 30 seconds to make a movie. Okay. And it's not like you can edit it all together. You got to just take shots and take replays and do all this stuff on the fly. And you try to make the best movie you can. And so you're relying on a lot of people to help you make that movie. You're relying on the people doing the replays and the people doing the graphics and the camera people and the announcers and all that. And so for 30 seconds, we make a movie. And when that movie is over and they go back to the line of scrimmage and another play happens and that play is over, we have to make another movie. And then that play is over, we got to make another movie and another movie and another movie. And that's what I do for the entire game is I make little bitty movies about 30 seconds at a time.
That's great. I got a question. Who is a couple of years ago, Mark, a guy who was one of the big producers? He passed away. He'd been doing it for years. A kind of older guy, and he was one of the most celebrated producers or directors. I don't know if it was for NFL. I mean, I don't know if it was CBS.
It might have been Sandy Grossman. Was that his name? Sandy Grossman.
Man, I can't think of this guy.
Yeah. He was a longtime director at CBS.
Yeah. Did you see? I got a question. Did you see Tin Cup? Did you see the movie
I
Tin
did.
Cup?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
That guy that was in the box. Who was that guy? The kind of heavyset guy.
Yeah, that was guy. I just had his name. Lance Barrow was there, and Frank Chirkinian.
Yes.
Yeah, that's his name. Yeah.
So they do the same.
They're the producer. They're the producer.
Oh, okay.
So if we were a football team, okay, the producer is the head coach, but the director is the starting quarterback. Okay, so the producer calls the plays. Okay, but I actually make the play happen. Okay, so if the producer says to me, "Hey, give me a shot of Sean Payton," okay, then I'll say, "Camera 22, give me Sean Payton." Okay. If he says, go to this replay, go to that replay, I put the replays on the air. I actually make everything go on the air. He decides what replay we go to. It's never my decision what replay we go to, but he decides what replay, and then I put the replay on the air. If I feel like, I don't want to put that replay on the air because they're about to snap the ball. They're back at the line of scrimmage. Okay, I don't put the replay on the air because we don't want to miss live action for replays, and so I can call him off just like a quarterback can call off a play. He can audible, and so sometimes I have to call the audible.
So you Tom Brady then?
Yeah. That's a good way to put it. Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, coach. Hey, nothing but the best for the best.
Right. That's right.
What you got
now, of course, we have Mark Grant with us right now. We just tuned to the Chop Shop, and this is Black History Month early for you guys. Wow. and what we having right now. I mean, he's the, like you said, you mentioned him, gave him a Tom Brady. He's the Dick Vitale of directors in as far as black men in the sporting sector.
So you mean Dick Vitale is the GOAT? That's what you're saying.
Dick Vitale has tenure 4 decades, dude.
Oh, you talking
Dick
about
Vitale been 4 decades. He's been 4 decades.
Tom Brady got 2 decades.
Tom Brady ain't got 4. Tell him to go back to work. Go back to work. Come on back and get with us when you get a couple more decades. Now, this year, you also made history. Well, reignited the candle of history by being part of the tandem that was the first black producer. You gave us the instructions on and director team at an NFL game since
87. 87. It was the first time since 1987.
And who was your mate, and how did that come about? Yeah. Because we know was it on purpose? Because the NFL also gave us this year an all-female crew. They gave us an all black crew. They gave us so was this on purpose?
wasn't on purpose. Well, let me say this. I work with the same producer all season long, okay? And he's a white guy. He's a very, very good friend of mine. His wife had a baby, and he had to have the weekend off, okay? He had to have 2 weekends off to become a father.
Yeah.
They substituted him for Kamani, and so Kamani came in and produced the 2 games with me while Jonathan was away. And so not only was it the first time, it was the first time since '87 you had a producer and a black producer and a black director, but also our executive producer is black as well. And it was the first time in NFL in history that you had a black producer, black director, and a black executive producer on the same NFL telecast. So that was the real history. Yes, you've had a black producer and director before in 1987 with some guys who were with NBC, but it was the first time ever that we had 3 executives, the producer, director, and the executive producer, all people of color on the same show, and that was a really big moment for us.
Awesome. Mark, we got a question from the YouTube or the Facebook feed, and Jacoby just said, "Hey, Mr. Mark, what are your top 3 sporting moments directing? What is your top 3?"
Yeah, that's a good question, and I can probably tell you, I'll tell you a couple of them that you can really probably relate to if you're a big college basketball fan. I did a long time ago. I did UCLA was playing Gonzaga in the NCAA tournament, and Gonzaga was the number 1 team in the country, and Adam Morrison was playing for Gonzaga, and we were out in the Oracle Arena doing the tournament, and Gonzaga gets out to this big lead in the first half, and it looks like they're going to just blow UCLA out. But in the second half, slowly but surely, UCLA kept chipping away, and eventually UCLA wins the game. Adam Morrison's a senior. He's going to graduate, and one of my jobs as a director is to capture the moment, capture the feel of the game, so when you're watching it, you can really appreciate what's going on. And the NCAA basketball tournament is one of those times when I really take pride in what I do. I always take pride, but I really, really want to crank it up to a higher level. And so at the end of the game, we're getting shots of UCLA. They've won the game, and they're all happy and excited and stuff like that. But Adam Morrison is on the floor crying, knowing it's his last basketball game, and he's lost. Okay, and what I really liked about the contrast of the joy of UCLA and the pain of Gonzaga is that if somebody were watching and they didn't know what the NCAA tournament was all about, all you had to do was see that moment play out. You see this one team celebrating, there's so much joy, and then you got the guy who was the player of the year playing his last game on the floor crying, and it really shows you that no matter how big you are, losing hurts, no matter how big you are. And I really thought that we, not just me, but our crew, did a great job of finding that moment. So that's one of my favorite moments. About 3 years ago, I was doing the NCAA tournament, and Houston was playing Michigan. And I was working, it was in Wichita, and Brad Nutzer was the play-by-play guy. Michigan is down by 2 with, they got to bring the ball in bounds and take a game-winning shot. And Poole hits the shot. It goes in. And again, you have this moment where he hits a shot to win the game, and now you've got 30 seconds to really make that movie. And actually, I think they gave us a minute to make the movie. And I just get the great shots of the Houston players crying.
Yeah.
At the time, one of the kids for Houston, I can't remember his name, but his brother, his little brother, we had showed him in the stands early in the game. So I go back and get a shot of him, and Poole and Michigan, all the players going crazy. And it was a really, really great moment that happened. And I was very, very proud of that. 2 years ago, I was doing an NFL game. Baltimore was playing Cincinnati, and Baltimore was playing Cincinnati.
One of them trophies just fell off the wall, Coach.
Say what?
One of them trophies just fell off the wall.
Oh, that's my wife in the kitchen trying to cook. That's a big mistake. So, yeah. But it was the game where the Ravens are playing, and you know how great that quarterback is with Baltimore, right? How great is he, right? Yeah. And he makes a great move, and he does a reverse spin, goes into the end zone for the touchdown, and the place goes crazy. Our announcers go crazy, and we win that year. We won the Emmy Award for best coverage of the NFL and one of the plays that was submitted, we can submit 5 plays, and that was one of the plays that submitted. And I really think that that play was one of the things that the judges, just because of how we covered it and how our announcers called it and how we directed it and produced it, really made a difference. And so that's that's another one of my. So those are my 3 really memorable moments. But I've had many, and been blessed to be in a lot of good, great places at the right time. But I just, I can't say how much I love what I do. But the Lamar Jackson move, when he spun around and it had a break, it was a great play. And you have a lot of fun doing that. When you're a part of memorable things, it's a lot of fun.
Mark, I got something for you, because we got young kids who grow up and don't have certain advantages, and they don't have the. Some kids grow up, mom, dad went to college. Some kids grow up. Mark, you persevered, even having a kind of turbulent childhood, and you persevered to make history. And to those young kids out there, see, this the kind of stuff. If I knew nothing else about you, when I read that about your story, Mark, all your other accomplishments, yes, but man, you persevered, and you said, hey, the past is the past. I got to be great. What can you tell our young kids? Because we got parents, we got young kids. I mean, they're going through pandemics, ain't never been through this before in life. And stuff is crazy, Mark. They in the house, their mama's daddy getting tired of them. I mean, it's a lot of stuff going on. But you went through some stuff that a lot of people don't get a chance to go through, and you are sitting here as a shining example of how you can overcome adversity. Could you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I appreciate it. I had a very difficult childhood growing up.
Yeah.
My father was an alcoholic, and it just really destroyed him. I saw it destroy him. My father left me when I was 15 years old. We moved from Rhode Island down to Shreveport. My mother was a strong person, but then alcohol got her as well, and eventually killed her. It killed both my parents. I knew that I needed to try to be great. And whatever I did, I was going to try to be great at it. And, as I said, I started out in pre-med, and I just didn't really give it my all. But once I found out what it was I wanted to do, I wouldn't let anybody stop me or anything stop me. I had bosses when I was working in local cable who would say to me, you might be better off working at McDonald's. You're not really that good. You think you are, but you're not that good. And here I am now, a director for CBS Sports. And I just believe in setting goals and then working to reach the goals. And I was never happy. I was never satisfied working in local cable, doing the city council meeting. I wanted to work for ESPN as a cameraman.
Yeah.
I wanted to work for ESPN as an associate director. I wanted to work for ESPN as a director. And I just kept setting goals and trying to reach those goals. And, when people tell you, if you buy into what people say, then you got to really check out, where your mind is and where your heart is. Are you just going to let people just tell you, determine your future? And I wasn't going to let anybody determine my future but myself. And so I've had a lot of challenges along the way, but I wouldn't trade it for the world. I think a lot of it is maybe a lot stronger. And it's got me to where I'm at today. And I've got a strong family. I've got a strong wife, and I my kids are they pushed me and challenged me as well. And I couldn't make it without them, but I just give it all I have. And every time I go to work, I really try to think that, if I don't do a good job today, they're going to fire me and I'm going to be out of a job. My family's going to have to, they're going to have to suffer the consequences and all that. And I just keep pushing for excellence. And I don't really, I'm not ashamed to say that I must be great at what I do. When you work for CBS Sports, when you work for a network and you're one of 16 people who direct the NFL, you're not good, you're great. And I challenge everybody, no matter what it is you want to go into, just try to be great at it. Don't be good at it. There's a lot of good people out there, but you got to be really great at what you do, and that's going to open up a lot of doors for you that don't open for a lot of people, is by being great.
And just one more. This is a selfish question here. That's a high profile job and a high profile position you're in. And I've been blessed. My son is in high profile position also. And he texted me this morning. He said, "Man, it's a lot of stuff going on, Dad. I need you to pray for me." He's on
Yeah.
Wall Street. He's up. He says a lot. We hadn't talked about it yet. Then he just said, "I got so much responsibility." Then he sent me a screenshot of how much responsibility that was. And, I just stopped everything right before the show and just said a prayer with him and sent him some. But, Mark, you guys in those high profile, I know they can be stressful sometimes. How? Because we're gonna have some young guys. We got a great community here, Mark. This show, the Chop Shop, and the community that supports us, and we got some young, some guys who gonna be great at their things. What are your advice for these young guys or in these positions of power that got other people up on them that depends on them to be great all the time? What do you tell them?
I tell people this, I used to tell people all the time, when you watch Johnny Carson, when Johnny Carson was around, and now if you watch, whoever the late night host is that you watch, when they come out there on that stage, when they come out there and sit in front of that microphone, they have to be on every single night. It doesn't matter what kind of day they had. It doesn't matter if they got in an argument with their wife, if their kid got in trouble, if they got a flat tire to work or anything like that. You have to be great, and you have to make everybody around you great as well. And I think that is one of the things that I really, really try to do is to not just take it for granted. And I want to make sure that everybody understands how important they are to me, and together we can be great together. If I'm great and you're not great, my greatness isn't going to show up. And if I'm not great and you're great, your greatness isn't going to show up. But together, we can make something special happen. And so I challenge everybody who's in a position of authority to never, ever, ever think that you're irreplaceable. That's you're on your way out the door the first time you think that, okay? And you have to really understand that if I fell over dead tomorrow, okay, and I had an NFL game the next day, you're going to find somebody to replace me, okay? And, and so I'm not irreplaceable, and nobody is. And so you got to really, really remember that. But I also want everybody to understand how important they are to me. Okay. And it's not all about me. And when my Emmy Awards came in the mail the other day and I got them, I went on Facebook and I thanked the people who I work with who helped me get that Emmy. Okay. It wasn't just the announcers and the camera people. There's somebody did my travel. Somebody had to book my hotel. They don't get a lot of credit. Okay. But they work just as hard as I do. Okay. One of the people that I work with at CBS has to commute 2 hours a day each way to work. Can you imagine what it must be like to know when you get up in the morning, you got to take a 2-hour ride to work. And then when you put in a hard day, you got to take a 2-hour ride until you get home. Okay. And people like that don't get a lot of credit, but those are the people who really, really do the hard stuff that nobody really, they don't really understand, and they just take it for granted. And I thank people like that for helping me to become as great as I am. And so I think that when you're in a position of authority, you have to remember where you came from. I remember sitting on camera at a school board meeting, and they're arguing about some stuff that I really didn't have much, I didn't really care about. And they're arguing and and I don't want to go back to that. But I wouldn't be where I'm at today if I never done a school board meeting. I wouldn't be where I'm at today if I never held a parabolic mic at an ESPN game. I wouldn't be where I'm at. And so for those people in position, I think you should never really forget about the struggle that it took you there. And sometimes when we get to the top, we forget the journey, and that's a very, very big mistake.
Wow.
I mean, and speaking of the journey, you also this past year, with all of the things that transpired in 2020, one of the things that CBS did was they established a diversity group, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And you were part of that diversity group. And tell us how that transpired. What's the objective? And
Okay.
have we moved the needle any since that committee has been established? And also, who all comprises this diversity committee with CBS?
Yeah, it all started, like a lot of things started in America when George Floyd got killed. Okay. I think that when that happened, a lot of people said, my God, what are we doing? What are we doing in America? And I think that CBS said that as well. And they said, we've got to do something to show, to not just, we can't just be successful and we're not treating everybody fairly. And I don't want to imply that CBS doesn't treat people fairly. I don't want to say that, but they want to make sure that they are it's an environment of diversity and inclusion, and they wanted to make sure that that happens. So they formed a Black Steering Committee, which I'm a part of, and every person of color at CBS is a part of that committee. Okay, and so we can come to the company with a lot of observations, complaints, whatever, and put them before the highest management at CBS. That they didn't. The great thing about it is the chairman of CBS, the president of CBS are all. They hear our complaints and they act on the complaints. We're not doing it through some middle manager that's somewhere buried in the on the food chain. We go right to the top and we meet with them and tell them our concerns, and then they address those concerns and say, yeah, we understand. They just hired a diversity inclusion officer in CBS Sports. We've never had one before. And so all these things have happened. And unfortunately, it happened because of George Floyd and the Black Lives Matter movement and all that. I don't want to say it's unfortunate George Floyd died. It's not unfortunate about Black Lives Matter. But I really believe that had it not been for the reaction to what happened to George Floyd, we may not be as far along as we are with diversity. And Jim, you said it. Is the needle moving? Yes, the needle's moving, because out of this process, the first thing I point to is that I work with a Black producer. Okay, Kamani, the guy that I did the NFL game with, was the first Black producer at CBS Sports since I've been there, and I've been there 22 years. And one of my complaints to CBS, to management, was, why is it taking so long to get a Black producer? Well, we formed this Black Steering Committee, and boom, that happens. And now there's other people
Wait a
in
minute.
line.
Mark, excuse me if I inject. So you went in there like Spike Lee did Sal in the pizza place, and you asked him why ain't no blacks on the wall.
Yeah, that's what we did as a group, and that's what I did as an individual. I did, and you know what though? But sometimes what happens is when I told them that, they couldn't believe it. So I say to them, I've been at CBS. It was 21 years. I've been at CBS 21 years. I've never worked with a Black producer. You should have seen the look on their face. Like, you know what? He's right. He's right, because it just kind of slips through the cracks. Okay, and so many things you can be moving forward as a company and be so successful, but there are things slipping through the cracks that you don't know about because you're on the path to success. You're doing the Super Bowl and you're doing the matches, you're doing the Final Four, so everything should be hunky dory, but sometimes it's not. Okay, and so when you point it, and I'm very thankful to my company that when you point it out to them, they say, you know what, you're right. We get it, and we're going to do something about it. And so that's how CBS has been. Now, not every company is like that. Some companies be kicking and screaming and say, what are you complaining about? Look, we're doing the Final Four. We're doing this. We're doing that. But you know what? Even in the midst of all that, there can still be trouble in the water. And I'm very thankful for CBS to recognize that we still got a long way to go. And they've done a very good job of trying to, since this Black Steering Committee was formed, to try to really listen to our concerns.
I got a question. Are you in a position to hire? Can you hire your own people? Mark?
It's a yes. I can hire some of my own people. Okay. When I do an NFL game, I have a certain number of those people who travel with me every single week. Okay. Certain camera people and audio people and the people who do the video and I can hire some of that group. And I do. Okay. But we also pick up people along the way. So when I go to Houston to do a game, we're gonna pick some. Matter of fact, I'm doing a game in Houston this weekend, and a lot of the people in Houston are going to be the Houston crew who has done enough shows with CBS, whether it's NFL or college basketball, that we don't have to fly everybody in from all over the country to do a basketball game. So, and so what happens is that CBS crews that they crew okay, we know we're going to do a basketball game in Houston.
Yes.
Okay, on Saturday, January 23rd. We know that 6 months out. So they crew the game before they make their production assignments. So I don't know I'm doing that game. So when by the time I find out I'm doing the game, the crew has already been hired, right? And I can't just say, oh, you know what? We don't have enough people of color. I can say that, and the next time maybe it changes. Yeah, that's how it works.
Okay, it makes sense.
And of course, guys, that Saturday game will be Cincinnati at University of Houston, Saturday at 11 a.m. Central Time on CBS. And so that our U of H.
Mark,
huh?
Mark, you gonna be in the truck?
I'll be in the truck.
Okay, so if a young kid come over there and knock on that door like you did, you remember how you kept knocking on that door? You gonna let them?
They can't come knocking during the game.
They can't. No, well, you know what? This is the thing. They could until COVID hit. Okay. Now, if a kid knocks on the door, I don't know if he's got COVID, and we can't afford to infect all of our people because somebody knocked on the door. The time will come when they'll be able to knock on the door again and see the game. But the time is not now, and I'm really very sorry about that because a lot of kids are missing out on the opportunity. But we have to practice safety first.
Smart. I got you.
Yeah,
I love that. Yeah. I'm glad I asked that
question. I mean that's a great question, and the COVID, yes, stop, because we was about to crack the magic wand and have some lucky communications or journalism student become knock on that door and carry a microphone or something. Yeah. And now what we're going to do right now, we're going to go to a couple of questions that our guest has presented for you, Mark, and they are loving this conversation. And that's the thing about it. A lot of people don't know, guys. The Chop Shop, if you're a first-time viewer, we'll ask you to share the show right now. Hit the share button, and you're on YouTube watching us, give us a thumbs up. Mark, if you're watching right now, you might see a red eye over on the right. You click that, you'll be able to see all the comments if you don't see them already.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't see them. I'm on. I don't see them, but I'm watching through the internet through Guest Cam Live.
Okay.
That's how I'm watching.
No, on eCam, look on your screen up to the right. Yeah. It's like a little red.
Oh, I see it. Oh my goodness.
The CBS eye logo. Hit that.
Yeah.
Hey.
Now you can see all of the comments from both platforms combined to condensed together. And that way now some of the questions that we might present and people, and of course, Rick Godfrey said, Mark, holla at me. Rick Godfrey. Rick Godfrey is known as the voice of Houston. And I mean, he used to announce the U of H games a few years ago. If any game goes on in Houston in the amateur sector, Rick Godfrey is there. He's matter of fact, he sung the Lift Every Voice. He's the only announcer that I've heard sing Lift Every Voice and sing without missing a word. Last month at the George Floyd Classic, ironically, which was in Houston. But another question, Hal, we can put up some of these questions from the viewers. And Thaddeus Moody out of Chicago, he says, what's the preparation like for an NCAA game? The average game, how many days in advance does the truck get there? The people that run the cables, the crew, whatnot. Break that down for us.
Well, the game in Houston. Let's take the game in Houston, right? So I'm doing the game in Houston this coming weekend. Okay. The truck will park on Thursday. We will start setting up on Friday, and we'll do the game on Saturday. That's really the setup. As far as preparation goes for me, I've been working on this, getting ready for this game since Sunday, starting to memorize the players and the names and numbers. As you can imagine, when you're directing a game and the announcers talk about a player, you want to know who the name and number is. As a director, you want to know who the name and number is. So you could say, camera 5, give me 22 white, give me 32 black. It's very easy in college basketball because you only have, maybe 12 players on each team that are going to really matter. So memorizing 24 players isn't really that difficult. What is difficult is when you do the NFL or when you do college, especially college football, where you may have 90 players on a roster. Sometimes you have duplicate numbers on the roster.
That's right.
And, you have a lot more people who play in the in college numbers, and the coaches, which coaches in the booth, what coaches downstairs is a much more of a challenge when you do the NFL and when you do college football than it is college basketball. This is pretty easy. I just, only have a few guys I got to memorize their name and number, and I can do that. But in terms of preparation, we all prepare differently. The announcers prepare differently than the director. The producer prepares differently than the announcers. The people who do the graphics have to present a show graphically, so they have to kind of combine all the stats and the information. And so that at any moment in the game, they can call, whoever's at the free throw line, whatever the story is, if there's any historical information, all that. So we all prepare differently. But main thing is that CBS does not care if I don't do anything to get ready for the game. All they care about is what's going to happen at 11 o'clock on Saturday. From 11 o'clock to 1 o'clock on Saturday, am I doing my job to the highest level that they expect? And however I get there, it doesn't matter to them. Okay, it matters to me because I can't just show up on 11. My first time look at the roster is 10:30 on Saturday. I'm going to be in deep trouble. But they really don't care. They just want me to do a great job, and if I can do a great job, I'll continue to work. And that's how we all are. Everybody's like that. If our announcers, if they can tell the stories, doesn't matter if they start on Monday working on them or Wednesday working on them. As long as they can tell the stories on Saturday, that's all that matters.
I love that, Mark. I got one for you, Mark. Rick Wilmore, he said this a while back. He said, Mark, did you ever direct a game that had a devastating or career-ending injury? If so, did it somber the mood in the production team or made it more difficult to finish that particular broadcast?
Yeah, I've had some kids athletes get some real serious injuries during the telecast. And the first thing I think about is their parents who may be watching the game on TV. Yeah. That's the first thing we think about. Okay. And so sometimes, when you have serious injuries, and I didn't do it, but like Joe Theismann's leg being broken or Alex Smith's leg being broken, the kid from Louisville, when he broke his leg, you want to document the replay, but you don't want to show it over and over again where you see a leg in a, contorted in a position that you're just not comfortable with. And I always think about the parents. And I also want to make sure that, if the kid gets injured and then we go to commercial break and then we come back from commercial break and they're ready to play again, I want to make sure I get a shot of the kid on the sidelines for the parent to make sure the parents know, okay, he's walking around, or even if he's inside the tent or whatever, I want to give them some peace to know that, because they may not find out for a long time after the game where the kid is. And so I'll try to go back to him when he comes out of the tent just to document that he's okay. As far as the seriousness and how we feel in the truck after a serious injury, it's hard. It's really, really hard. But we got a job to do, and we got to keep on doing our job no matter what happens.
Jimmy, you got another one?
You kind of slighted on this earlier. What has been or continue to be the obstacles you deal with at work, being the only Black director at CBS?
Yeah, it's after 22 years, I don't have the same obstacles I had when I was in year 1, year 2 at CBS. Everybody knows who I am, and they also know what power I wield at CBS. And so some of these people who may not see the world the way I do, they know they better not kind of get on my bad side during the, don't get me upset. I don't have a problem with people disagreeing with me, but when somebody, I've had times when I was younger in my career, not at CBS, but like at ESPN, and somebody would come to work with the David Duke President T-shirt on, and it's hard. It's hard because you want to just, you want to have a confrontation right then and there, and I want to change his mind, and he wants to change my mind, and all that. But the bottom line is that we got to do a job, and we got to do our job to the highest level. And so you got to remember that some of these people that you totally disagree with, that you can't stand, they're terrific at what they do. They're great camera people. They're great audio people, and they're going to do what they can. They're going to do a great job and make you look good. And so you have to weigh politics versus performance, and just like there's people who have power over me, who are my superiors, who we disagree with politically. They know that, look, I'm doing a great job of making them look good. And so if they can accept it, then I have to accept it when somebody, when I'm a superior to somebody else and we don't agree on things, we don't agree on race. Sometimes the guy sitting right next to me punching the buttons that I tell him to take camera, we don't agree with it all. We don't agree with it all. And I have to be very, very careful, because if he makes a mistake during the show, okay, I want to judge him just on that mistake, not on who he's voting for president.
Right.
And it could get very ugly if he makes a small mistake and I act like the world's coming to an end because, he's voting for Donald Trump. That's not fair to him.
Wow. That's good, man. That's a great insight about that. But Coach, I got another one. Trey Phillips, he asked this a while back. He said, how do y'all know who are some of the family members to put on camera? Who is responsible for getting the backstories of the players' families, especially NCAA?
Yeah. Well, the NCAA tournament is a great event for that, okay? Because what's great about it is because when you lose, you're done. When you do the NFL, you lose this week, you still got to play next week, unless you're doing the playoffs. But in the NCAA tournament, it's one and done, okay? And so before the game, okay, I get a seat chart on all the players where their families are, okay? And then we'll send somebody over, and I'll start IDing the parents. And so we might get 5 parents for each team on. So when their son goes to the line, we can get a shot of that pick, especially in a crucial situation. He's got to make the free throw to tie the game or to win the game or whatever. And so we know before the game where the parents are. When we do the NFL, if we have a rookie that's playing and his parents are coming to the game for the first time, we'll definitely have a seat location for the parent. And so, maybe 45 minutes to the game, I will send somebody up to their section, and the guy will get on the phone. We'll make sure that this is the mom and the dad, and he'll say, here, the dad's got on the green jacket with the green Jets hat, and we know who the parents are. So then when that player makes a great play, we know where to go to. When you get to especially when you get to the Super Bowl, you may have cameras just dedicated the entire game to the parents, because you never want to lose them, because they may react at any point. And so because you have so many more cameras for an NFL, for the Super Bowl, you may have 55, 60 cameras. You could afford to take one off the field to show a parent, or to show 5 different sets of parents at any point in the game.
One shining moment. That's my favorite, Coach. Coach, somebody on here told you, Mark, said y'all better not never stop Luther. You better not come on there with no George Strait singing that. George Strait, he said you better keep Luther on there.
Yeah.
Coach, who's in charge of that Luther song? Was it you who made the decision to insert the Luther Vandross classic at the end, or that credit goes to somebody else?
No, that decision goes way. That goes all the way to the top of CBS.
Wow.
It goes all the way to the top. I mean, they had Jennifer Hudson for a while, right?
Yes.
It goes way, it's way at the top. And right now, Luther is it, and I don't think it's going to change for a long time. Jennifer Hudson did not go over well, and they had to make a change, and I think they made the right change with Luther. I think the song is the way he sings it makes it special.
Yeah.
And it's good. As far as one shining moment goes, again, when you're directing, you're making these little movies.
Yes.
When you do the NCAA tournament, you're thinking about one shining moment. You're thinking about what shots you can put in there that are going to be a part of one shining moment. And I don't direct the Final Four, but I direct the regional final. I direct the early round games and all that.
Okay.
And I really take a lot of pride in what I do, because I want some of my shots to be in that game. Now think about it. There's 65 basketball games that they got to put into one shining moment. They got to put 65 basketball games, or how many there are, but they got to put all those into one shining moment. And so you may have one game that only has one shot in it, but I try to get, have so much emotion and try to get the guy diving on the floor and get the mom praying and all. I try to get as many of them so I try to count my shots when it's on the air. When I see it, I'm like, yep, that's mine. I did that. We did that. Whatever. But it's a really a special part of the telecast, and it really kind of puts a bow on the entire NCAA tournament. And somebody is assigned, and that's their whole job for the NCAA tournament is one shining moment. I would never want that job because you have to screen so much footage
Yes.
to figure out what you're going to put in there, and I would not want that job.
Hey man, this is awesome and a
Crazy.
great convo, of course, with Mark Grant of CBS Sports. Guys, we just tuned into the Chop Shop. We just taking a cruise down the avenue of broadcast media and what goes on behind the scenes, what goes on in comprising and producing a broadcast, and also I want to get a question into you. I notice, of course, you're from the Northeast. You moved to Shreveport. You went to college in Baton Rouge, and I knew it was hell. Let me tell you something. Whenever you see a guy that comes from Louisiana and he brushes hair backwards, you already know he's an HNIC. That's a trait of an HNIC. Whenever he brushed that hair backwards, I knew what time it was. I already knew. I already knew he was one of them guys that had some. That even though he lived in Louisiana, he had some Stacey Adams, or he had some Morris. He went over and spent to Atlanta and went up in the what's the name of my store in Atlanta I had back in the day that you used to go to back in the day?
Freedman's.
He went up in Freedman's. I already know it. Oh, we know it.
Hey man. Hey, just tell me when, Mark. Mark, I'm the director over here. Mark, I'll mute his mic for you.
Oh my goodness! Wow.
and so now CBS Sports.
Jimmy, hold up. That's a good question because Women Rock Wednesday, Mark, is tomorrow. Tiffany asked the question: are there any women that's almost in your position? I know it's not in your position, but are there any women or are being looked at for your position, a position like yours?
We have one woman at CBS who's a director, and she's been doing it. She's been doing it for over 30 years, and she's terrific at what she does. Her name's Suzanne Smith, and if you Google Suzanne Smith, you'll see all about her. She's very good. She actually just directed the playoff game, the Saints game, which was on Nickelodeon a couple of weeks ago. So she directed that game, and so we do have women, and it's I would say that finding a woman and finding a black are just as hard because there's one woman and there's one black person doing it, and so there aren't many of either. But there are women who do, and other networks as well. I mean, I could talk about CBS, but there are other women. There are women at other networks who do it. And when you look at some of the local teams, the local team broadcasts, like you look at the Los Angeles Lakers broadcast, they do a game every week, just like you watch an college game or you watch an NBA game. The Houston Rockets have their own production. Several of the women who direct, there are several women who direct the NBA telecast for their home markets, and the Lakers is one of them. Yeah,
awesome.
We have two other guests viewers that have questions for you. One is Coach Leah, and she says, "What's the most surprising change?" Well, in other words, I'm gonna paraphrase it. How has COVID affected the broadcast now in 2020?
Yeah, that's a very good point, and I want to show you something if I can, guys. I just want to show you a picture. Okay,
show us
behind me.
Yeah.
You see this picture right
above,
right there. Can you see that picture?
Yeah.
Okay.
Above the image. Yeah.
Above the image. Yeah. You see me in the middle directing the game, right?
Tilt it back a little bit. Just tilt it back a little bit more. Oh yeah, you're in the broadcast.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you see how close we are, physically close to each other right there. To my left is the producer, and to my right is the technical director. He's punching all the buttons. Okay. When COVID hit, we had to. I'm sorry, I'm just sitting back down now. When COVID hit, we couldn't be that close together in the truck anymore. Okay, we couldn't be that close. We're 2 feet apart. And there's a minimum distance we can be of 6 feet apart. So one of the things CBS did was they said, okay, well, we're going to try to figure out what we can do. And let's see if we can have the producer director be, instead of being in the truck, Let's see if we can send them somewhere else into a studio and direct the game from the studio. So what happens is, like I did the Houston Tennessee game, the last game of the year in Houston, right? That game was in Houston, but every game I directed this year for the NFL, I was in a studio in New Jersey directing the game. I actually moved to New Jersey for 4 months. Okay, so I wouldn't have to fly, wouldn't have to get on airplanes.
Right.
Okay, I wanted to reduce the risk of COVID to me. So that is something that happened only because COVID, because we couldn't be in the same space. And so, it's things like that. You'll see games now where announcers won't be on site doing the game. You watch an ESPN game, sometimes they'll be in different, they'll be doing it out of their house. That's all the most important thing. I'm doing this game in Houston next week, and normally when we do it on Saturday, and normally the announcers are down on the court doing the game. Our announcers are going to be up in a corner of the arena calling the game where they can be safe, where they're not around a bunch of people. And again, it's a result of COVID. So yeah, these things have happened, and hopefully we can get back to doing games the way we used to do them. I like to travel. I enjoy it. I'm going to Houston this week because my producer is going to be in New Jersey, but I'm going to be doing the game from Houston. I talked CBS to let me do the game in Houston because it's a 45-minute flight from Baton Rouge to Houston and back. And so I want to just try to do the game there. And we're going to see if the model of the director in the truck and the producer in the studio will work, since we both can't be in the same place. And I like to be on site with the crew and intermingle with them and look them in the eye and talk to them and communicate. And we think it's more important for the director to be on site than the producer. So we're going to try that this weekend and see if it works. And if it does, I've got a couple more basketball games I've got to do, and maybe I'll do those on site as well.
So this pandemic is giving y'all options on how you can do things, Mark. You follow me?
It has. It's given us a lot of different options, and not always good, right? Because when the announcers are in two different, one guy's at his house and another guy's at his house, it's very difficult to get the chemistry going when they're not in the same place. It's very, very difficult, And I directed 17 games this year, NFL games this year, and I wasn't on site, so I didn't get to interact with my crew. And some of the bonding, some of the hang, just the good times, we didn't get that this year because of this. And so while it's good for safety's sake, there are a lot of things that aren't the same. And now you as a viewer may not see that a lot of those things because when the show goes on and you don't see them, but it's not as easy as it seems. Just to send us to a different place, it's not as easy as it seems like it would be.
Man, this is a great convo with Mark Grant, guys, of CBS Sports, and hopefully you guys have learned something. Rick Godfrey has a question, and you want to toss to you. Say, what's the name of those new cameras that y'all use to make the players look like a video game?
Make the players look like a video game. I know we have a new camera that. I know we have a new camera that's bringing the player on the field, like bringing the quarterback on the field, and it's got a very, very short focal length, so only he's in focus and everything else is out of focus. And
I've seen that in a lot of the broadcasts lately.
That's our newest toy. We're always trying to try gadgets and stuff like that to see if of course when our competitor tries one, then we got to try it as well and make it better than them. It started on Fox and then CBS. Got a camera like that as well. That's what I think that's what he might be talking about, is that kind of gadget, that kind of camera. And it's just a new toy that we're trying to do right now. And you'll see it a lot on the Super Bowl. The bigger the show, the more technology is incorporated into the show. And, it's just a matter, it's like an arms race. When we get one, then, when we get something, then the Soviet Union has to get it, then China's got to get it. And the same is true with networks, is what it has. And then a lot of times the network will invest in something and they'll say to the company, okay, you have to trademark it or copyright it, and you can't share it with anybody. We'll sign a 5-year deal. So now nobody can have it for 5 years. Whatever. That way, that keeps it exclusive. Skycam is one of those cameras too. It's on the track, and
I love
when it first came out, nobody could use it except Fox. But then when the contract ran out, then everybody has a Skycam now. Yeah. Same was true with the blimp. Even with the blimp, that's how the blimp was for a long time. Yeah.
Well, man.
So now, going on.
No, I appreciate you taking us behind the veil. There's a lot of this stuff, man, we just didn't know that goes on. We just took it for granted when I watch. So now, when I watch CBS Sports, and when I watch any broadcast, I'm going to look at them through a different lens and respect the work that you have to do. You know what got me? Those smaller movies. That's going.
Yeah.
Even when Jimmy's and my broadcast, I'm gonna think about the smaller movies. I'm gonna go away with that and seeing how I can incorporate that in our show. So, Mark, I just thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Somebody asked on here. I was looking once I learned how to do it. I was looking at the comments and all that.
Right.
And somebody asked a very, very good question, and I just wanted to address it if I could.
Okay.
They asked me, could I talk about my salary? Okay. And I don't really want to talk about what I make.
I didn't think that was a good question. But me and you disagree. I didn't think that was a good question. But
here's why. Why. First of all, if somebody wants to do what I do for a living, they need to know what the market will bear. Okay.
Okay.
And I will say this. I told you the story about how I got caught in the crossfire between ESPN and CBS.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to tell you what I make, but I will tell you this, that when ESPN offered me a contract, the first contract they offered me, they hadn't signed. Okay. And then the contract I accepted CBS. The difference between those two contracts was $98,000 a year. The difference between them. Okay. Okay. So you can, and again, I'm not going to tell you what I make, but I will say this. I live in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I get paid for a company that's in New York City. So my money goes a long way, okay. But my point is that my point to the question was this, is that I was very happy at ESPN. And when they offered me that contract, I was very, very happy. I thought all my troubles were over. But what was that they were holding out on me because they were willing to go until finally they said no more. Okay. And so they didn't go all the way to $98,000 difference, but they went pretty high. Okay. Yeah. And so I got mad at ESPN because you know what? Why didn't you just offer me that at first? But it would have never happened had I not been great and be able to force two people like a free agent.
Yes.
If you're a free agent and nobody offers you more money, you're stuck. Okay. And that's how we are in life sometimes, is we get stuck because we get very comfortable working for one company and we're happy being good, not great. Okay. Where you don't have the leverage anymore. The company has the leverage. But then when somebody else wants you, now all of a sudden you have more leverage than you ever thought possible.
Hey, Mark, I got to throw this one in, Mark. So what do you think about James Harden turning down $50 million a year extension from the Rockets?
All I can say is he must have really wanted to get out of there, and I think he really wants to win an NBA championship, and I think that has a lot to do with it. And we don't know the world that they live in. $50 million seems like a lot of money to us, okay? And what I make sounds like a lot of money to somebody else, but I think that when it's not the right situation for you, and you can get out of there, and you feel like no amount of money is going to keep you there, more power to you. When money's not the only issue, I think that is it gives you more power when you just don't stay there for the money. And I think that's what he did. I certainly think he's upgraded his chance to win it. They're the favorites in the East. I think there's he may win champ for many, many years to come, and that's what he wants his legacy to be defined by, not by how much money he makes.
Like that, man.
Now, lastly, speaking of a lot of you guys, of course, sorry, we are almost out of time. We already in the overtime territory already.
Yes.
with Mark already. Now, but this question, I have to toss this one to you.
Okay.
Because of the fact that, speaking of, we have a radio show on Saturday mornings from 10 to 11 Central Time on 92 KELZ in Houston, which caters towards primarily HBCU topics as well as student athletes. Well, in one of the conversations we had this past weekend, we had Sean Woods, head coach of Southern in Baton Rouge, was on with us this past weekend. And of course, we had a young man, Ramon Walker, who's signed with University of Houston. So that's a name that you definitely, and I'm quite sure he probably going to be at the game, get one of those camera lenses, camera 7 or camera 4, need to get on Ramon and his family, sit in those hands. Now, here's what I want to ask you. One of the things that the SWAC commissioner, Charles McClellan, whom we both know, he lives in Houston. Last week at the SWAC presser for football, he made it blatantly clear that the SWAC is no longer going to move any of their classics to Thursdays for ESPN, the show. They said, you're not willing to move none of those other games that draw 40, 50,000 plus. We're not moving ours. Has CBS, could it be on the horizon, since you're on this diversity committee, to possibly come and emerge into the market of possibly airing or broadcasting one of the Black college football classics?
We have a department that is dedicated to programming. Okay, they coordinate and they acquire the rights to the properties that they want to cover. The good thing about CBS is we have a cable channel called CBS Sports Network. Okay, and I think that if the SWAC says we don't want to move these games to Thursday, okay, unless they can find a partner that is willing to put them on Saturday, okay, they're going to have a hard time, because you're not going to put that. If you have a chance to show Clemson against Notre Dame on Saturday, and you have Southern against, pick a school, or another conference, the Circle City Classic or anything like Grambling, whatever, I don't care how passionate we are about the Bayou Classic, it can't measure up to the viewership that some of these other schools, these white schools, are going to get in the same window. Okay, and the Bayou Classic is the biggest HBCU event out there, and it can't compare to what an LSU or a Clemson or a Florida. It can't compare. We want it to, but it really can't compare. And so, unless you have a place to put it that like a CBS Sports Network, it can go on CBS. It won't go on big CBS. Okay, but it can go on CBS Sports Network. It may not go on, ESPN may not want to put it on a big ESPN, but they may want to put it on one of their other channels or whatever. And so that's the reality of it. Okay, and so if they don't want to move, and sometimes Thursday is a good window because it's the only game out there. When you put a game on Saturday, sometimes you're up against 10, 12 games on TV at the same time, and the viewership is diverted in many different areas. Whereas you put it on there on Thursday, and it's one of the only games out there, you have a chance to have more eyeballs watching it, which is great for the school, great for the conference, great for the players, great for recruiting, all that. Where you put it on Saturday and it gets lost in a 15 games on Saturday, it may not have the impact of a game that's on a Thursday by itself.
That's great, because you coming from that's where you coming from. Commissioner McClellan is not coming from a place where you are. He might not understand that aspect of it.
If he could talk to me, I would tell him that. I would be glad to tell him that. Yeah, I would.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Can I say one more thing?
Anything, man.
A lot of people are asking questions that we're not going to be able to answer.
Yeah.
And I just want them to know that if they want to reach out to me directly, they can email me. My email address is megrant@cbs.com. E for Eric, so megrant@cbs.com. You can ask me a question, and I promise you I will get back and I'll reply to every single question that you have, except how much money I make. I won't answer that question.
I didn't think that was a good question.
I just put I put it on the Facebook. You can put it on the YouTube page.
Okay.
And that email address, megrant@cbs.com. That's the email address. I just put it on there for you guys on Facebook. And want to ask you lastly, CBS, the actual founder of the Chop Shop name, that is, and the show, Chris Walker from Houston, Texas. Chris Walker from
Yes.
Millby High School, even though he didn't live, he wasn't zoned nowhere near Millby High School. He lived in the hood, went to Kirby Middle School, should have went to Smiley or Forest Brook. But anyway, he went and bust and all the way halfway across town to Millby High School in the late 80s. And now he's longtime college coach, retired, and he's been working for CBS Sports. And now he's back in the booth this year. Have you worked with Chris Walker? And what was it? What do you remember? What does Chris do best if you have on the app?
I think I have worked with Chris. I haven't worked with him this year, but I've worked with him in the past, and I think that he is very good at describing why plays work or don't work. He is very good at seeing what all 5 players or all 10 players on the court are doing at one time and can tell you why this play didn't work, why they should go with the ball here. He's very good at on-court strategy, and I think that is his that's his gift.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people just talk about, the ball went in the basket. Oh, it was a great shot by Smith. He says a lot more than that, and that really, really makes him good. Oddly enough, when I was living in New Jersey for those 4 months, Chris and I had lunch together twice, and we become very good friends. There were a lot of bad things about having to move to New Jersey for 4 months, leaving my family and all that.
Right.
But I was able to sit down and talk to Chris twice. And sometimes when we're directing the game and he's announcing the game, we're not in the same space and we don't get that much time together. But when I was in New Jersey and I got to sit down with him and talk to him, it was really, really good. And and through that, I'm on the show today, and so that was there's an example of what can happen when you
That's
connect and make a connection. And so he's a great guy, and I'm really glad that we have connected.
There you go, man. Chris Walker, yeah, indeed, man. Shout out to T. Walker, doing big things. A lot of people, as far as the resume that he possessed, but in that sector, he's one of those blacks that definitely can analyze the game. You once again, your career at CBS, you didn't get a chance, or did you get a chance to ever cover Shaquille O'Neal, Chris Jackson? Speaking of a Chris, during that time when they were at LSU.
Yeah, I did. And it was after I graduated. I was still trying to work my way into becoming a director. And when I ran camera, I used to like to be the guy underneath the basket, holding the camera on his shoulder and doing that. And there have been many times when Shaq knocked me over during games. And I know I got to know Shaq pretty well over my career. And great guy. Chris Jackson, same thing. It was fun to watch him go through LSU. It really was. He was the rebirth of Pistol Pete Maravich, is what a lot of people say down here. And he was fun to watch. And oddly enough, last year I did some of the Big Three basketball, and he was playing in the Big Three. And he's been out of the NBA for a long time, but he's still got a sweet jump shot. And it was fun to see him again.
Man, well, that's once again, guys, that email address is megrant@cbs.com. We want to thank you, Mark Grant, man. We took a hell of a ride down Media Lane with you, and congratulations on all your accomplishments and everything that you represent for the black community who aspires to get into journalism. Once again, that's your email address. If anybody has a student athlete out there, feel free to reach out to Mr. Grant, and with your questions, keep them going. Send all them questions back to the ones we missed. Send them to Mr. Grant. Don't send them to the folks out. Look at your screen. Send them to him.
Hey, Jimmy, I like to share with the people too. Even if you wanted to go to med school, you can change it and start doing this. You follow me? And guess what? Even if it's a pretty girl, because this man was trying to go to med school, and I hope his wife not listening. Even he saw
that food cold as hell right now. You got him in trouble. That food been ready. You can't ask. That food been ready.
Hey, all I'm thinking, that was a compelling story, and people miss that. But I go back to that. You say, hey, man, I want to be over there journalism department because that's where Beyonce is, or however she was, wherever she was. and I thought that was a great, great story. And young kids can grow. Okay, I might plan on doing this, but I end up doing this. So
the end of that story is this.
Uh-huh.
She's not my wife.
Okay.
But I've been married 39 years to a wonderful woman. And I love her to death.
That's
and she's great.
on.
So if she had been my wife, they would have probably made a movie about it, but it didn't end up that way.
Hold up. This for your wife.
I'm very happy.
This for your wife right here.
Hey, we want to give her. Hey, you know, I know one thing. We know how to make the chop shop memorable in the Grant household. Because two things we're gonna say. We're gonna say me and Hannah be down there whenever the crawfish get in the pot next spring. At the coach in 2022. Yeah. In 22, we'll be down there whenever you put them crawfish in the pot. Now that's number one. Number two, we want to give a shout out to the matriarch. Yeah. And that is Miss Joyce Miller Grant for holding it down, and she dropped that pot on the floor, and your ass knew what time it was. That's what that meant. That meant food ready, Negro. You hear me? I ain't cookies for me.
Jimmy, Jimmy, I got to agree with Mark. Mark, you flinched. Mark didn't flinch. You flinched. Mark knew what it meant. Mark is a professional. It took me a while to catch on. Hey, Mark kept on with it. That's why he's a director. Mark kept on with the flow. I saw you what the hell was that? Mark, I like the way you held your composure, Mark. Yeah, I like that, Doc. I like that.
Hey, you guys come on down here. We'll have a crawfish boil. I'll take y'all out. We'll go fishing together. I'll take you out on my boat. We'll go catch our own crabs. We'll do all that stuff. I'd love to have y'all down.
Done deal.
There you go.
Hey, man. Peace out, man. Thanks a bunch, guys. Know what time it is now. It's time to slide down Dino's back and yabba dabba do this thing. On the last day in office for that president. So you know it's going down on Women Rock Wednesday. You guys, it's going down tomorrow. And I can't hardly wait. Meanwhile, don't forget, go over to rcssports.com and get the list of the top games to see today around Greater Houston. We have a long list of them. I'm about to put my predictions up on them in the next 5 minutes. Meanwhile, the VIP news is updated with that weekly college D1 freshman report. Remember, we don't talk about it till a day later, but Doug Jones has posted it right now. Let's get an update on see who's faring and how. And shout out to Chris. Speaking of Chris Walker, he's actually going to cover the DePaul game tonight where Keon Edwards, the kid that used to play at Sam Rayburn High School, is playing his second game. So that should be cool as well because they didn't have Keon Edwards on the roster. He just enrolled in school. Breaking news also, yesterday we gave a shout out to committed to colleges yesterday while we were on the air, and that is Tyrone Baker from Hightower High Schools going to Georgia, and we also mentioned what's the other young man from Yates had last year? That went to Yates and Rudy Melvin.
Oh man, I forgot his name. Gerald Dokes.
Gerald Dokes is going to New Mexico State, and Gerald Dokes is enrolled now. They enrolled him in school, so he should be playing immediately in the next week or so, or the next game possibly. But so also, once again, we got breaking news coming at the end of the week about the spring icebreaker. I'm talking about the needle can't even move. It's going to be past full in the gas tank when I tell you guys this right here, what's coming up on Thursday. Big, big, big news. But anyway, hang in there. Thanks so much for tuning in. Thanks for those who shared the show. If you didn't, be so kind to do so on your way out the door. We'll see you guys in 22 hours. Peace. Chop shop.
We out. Let me find that button, Jimmy. Found it.
Jim Hicks. Rob Hatter. You are now tuned in to the Chop Shop. I'm Retro. Let's get it. We in the Chop Shop. We live in the Chop Shop. We talking sports talk. We live in the Chop Shop. We in the Chop Shop. I'm talking sports talk. So turn your dials up. It's live in the Chop Shop. We in the Chop Shop. We live in the Chop Shop. We talking sports talk. We live in the Chop Shop.